Oh my gosh. Okay, third, fourth, fifth time's a charm. Here we are with the old times.
It'll work eventually. It'll work eventually.
Like to keep you on your toes.
You're actors, you can handle it.
Keep you on your toes.
Exactly. We've been through worse.
Oh my god. I'm getting like that image. I'm getting that image in my brain of like when you see like the lumberjack, like when they're like on the wet log that's like do you know what I'm talking about? When they're both like standing on, they're trying to like knock each other off.
I just want to say I feel personally attacked as a big lumberjack.
Not the only.
So he knows all about that game. You got to balance on.
Mine, despite the lack of length, is more lumberjacky in color. You got a little bit more red in there. Yes.
I'm going with the Rasputin look. That's my personal.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Either that or Kratos. And,
right.
There you go.
Bearded things. I love it. Yeah, the camera zooms in. There's an entire like world in there. What's going on in there? So it seems like you all are very prolific with what you're creating. Like it just seems like you just run with the inspiration. If you feel like writing, a play, okay, we're gonna write a play. Oh, I feel like maybe I'll write a screenplay today. What the heck? Oh, let's write another podcast episode. I mean, is that kind of like what's going on where they're sort of like demanding your attention? You're like, okay, all right, we'll do.
I think variety is the spice of life, and anything that you could create, why not? And if you have people that are super talented, like this group right over here, like I can rely on them. And I know that they're going to perform, and I know that they're going to be awesome at what they do. So it makes it a lot of fun for me. And then as I'm like writing these roles, it kind of like just expands with their performances. Like really, they took off. I just kind of sent them the scripts and I was like, okay, guys, what do you guys want to do? And as soon as I got the audio files back, I'm like, well, that's fucking perfect. So I threw it all together. And it was great. And it's so much fun. It was such a beautiful reprieve from what was going on in the world, especially when everything was happening. So to
jump in and kind of expunge upon that, it's like Kevin Smith said, if you can't go and make movies with your friends, then what's the point?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And you have so much fun and you feel like you're in your element to contribute ideas, and everyone feels like they're heard. I mean, that's such huge importance with that. Like, oh, what's that you said? Oh yeah, let's try to incorporate that in this thing.
That's it. Yeah. And then they brought so much life to these characters that I didn't really think of certain moments even. They're all fantastic. And this is what's really cute is this is like the opening group of everybody in the podcast except for one. And she was just supposed to be a quick little voice. Diane's not a part of this thing today because she's filming something, can't talk about it, but she's doing her own thing today. She is phenomenal as well. And to have these core group of people I've known for years on end, my sister I've known since birth. So
I think she's got us beat. She's got us
just by a little bit though. Just by a little bit.
A little bit. Okay.
So are you two always brainstorming and stuff since you live at home? You're like, oh my gosh, that'd be funny about this. Ooh, what if the episode goes in that direction? Like, do you two?
It's writing and also music stuff too, because we both play music. So it's always just going and we don't stop. We're like little hamsters on a wheel that
writing is definitely her specialty though. Well, she'll bounce off ideas with me like, oh, does this sound good? What should I do with this? Then I'll give my input, but she's the mastermind behind writing for sure.
She's being modest. Oh, you stop.
Stop it.
Hey Kurt, I saw your cat. Is he on the Zoom meeting too?
Yeah, he is. It's so funny. Like this guy, he never seems to not be hungry, and so it's like, I'll feed. What he does is like he'll just come up here. Like right now, you don't see him off screen, but he's just. I don't know if you could even see a tiny piece of the corner of him. Oh, let's see. I don't know if you get, but he's just like standing there. He's just like this. He's like. Like just staring at me like, you know what I want.
I want attention and food now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have cats here too. So
Almost you're about to get a cat. But yes, we all have fur babies.
Once I get my new studio space set up here, which is why my attendance was so kind of in flux, as Ashley mentioned in one of our previous attempts. I just moved. So once I get my studio up and running and things like that, then I will also be getting a cat. And
Cool.
Yes.
Yay! Welcome to
We'll
the
call it the
family.
Cat Old Timey Spectral Hour.
Oh,
There you
yes.
go. This is
Old
very-
meowy
that is
spectral
very-
hour.
Meowie. Yeah, that's better, Chris. Yeah.
You'll meowie. So I noticed you have a reel-to-reel back there. Do you have like old Super 8mm movies or 16mm movies that you blast up on a wall?
you know what? If I did, it'd be really cool. But honestly, it was just an on-theme, on-point decorative piece that I had from my old place, and I just wanted to keep it. Further along in the back there, you can, if you can make it out, it's actually Pinky from Pinky and the Brain.
Oh yeah, I see him. I see him back there. Oh, that's great.
Courtesy of Ashley as I want to say, a long-time Christmas gift.
I think so, yeah. It was a while back.
It's what we both remember.
So Ashley, so you were saying that you play music, and I saw your guitar back there. What do you have stuff out on like SoundCloud or Bandcamp, anywhere like that
We're-
people can hear?
Within the next few months, we're getting things together. It's I was always scared to put my music out there, so I don't know. This year, when everything went down, it's so funny because it keeps on going back to COVID. Everything stopped, so that like I feel like creatives really kind of were able to go into their own heads and say, okay, you know what? Let's make these creative things happen, and let's make these passions happen. And now I'm just like, well, screw it. Let's put things out there. So
I mean, might as well. Nothing else to do. Let's go. Now's the time.
So
Yeah.
it's a long time coming, but I'm excited. By the end of this year, I really want stuff out. So
Well, and the thing too is that I've noticed that the more that you pay attention to the inspirations and the more that you give them a voice, the more they feel inclined to give you more ideas. They're like, oh, well, Ashley used the 12 ideas I gave her. Well, all right, well, here, let's see her really hit out of the ballpark with these, and so it's like, I feel like such a close friendship. Do you feel that way with your ideas? You're like, oh, these are all my little babies. I gotta just, honor them, and give them life.
absolutely, and I truly believe everybody here too. We're all creatives in so many different facets. Like we all do so many different things. It's those creative babies. You're just like, okay, which one am I going to attend to next? And sometimes the ideas kind of coincide, and then you're like, oh, that's even cooler. I didn't think that this could go with this. And yeah, we're all just super creative, and so is she. She's like, I got an opinion. Very creative. She inspires most of it at like 3 a.m. She's like doing little zoomy runs, to keep me awake. So
that's the secret, right? There was this play. I'm just getting these images. There's this play called Author's Voice. Have you ever read that play, The Author's Voice?
No.
And it's about this guy who, he's just having a hard time writing a play and stuff like that. Well, he somehow, I don't know how it happens, but he ends up discovering that there's like this gremlin living in his closet that's just like this brilliant, giving him all these ideas. And he's like, ooh, and he's like writing up all these plays. So then the gremlin starts getting like, wait, hold on, you're not giving me any credit for all these ideas. You're getting all these accolades. And then, as one could guess, the gremlin turns on him. But I'm getting visions of that, like with your cat, where your cat's like, yeah, just staring at you, giving you all these ideas. You're like, you better feed me now. You're like, okay, yes.
She's a pure genius. I'm totally convinced. So, the fact that I can't understand half of what she says is just my problem, not hers. So that's all it is.
What's so funny, every once in a while I'll come upon TikTok and someone has like their cat talking, and I'm like, a couple of times I've heard that guy, Oliver, the cat that was just here, I'll hear him in the other room and he's going, hello? And I'm like,
Yep.
hello?
Same thing.
Hello? I'm like, what?
Yes. So my wife and I, we used to foster a lot of animals, a lot of dogs, a lot of cats. And this last cat we had to foster, her name is now Jane. She was about to be put down because she wasn't eating, and then she showed up and she hasn't stopped eating, and we took her in, and she gave me a name of Meow Meow. So if she goes Meow Meow, that's me, and she wants me. And then my wife's name is Mao. It's like a very long meow, and that's for my wife's attention.
Wow.
It's insane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's really cute at first, But then all hours of the day, you're getting summoned by a cat. And it's just cute really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Well,
like
do you-
the little bell.
Worth it.
Butler, I need another
Exactly.
tea.
And
You know,
she'll
there's-
call just so
Bearded
we'll know
butler,
where she
bearded
is.
butler, please. I want my specific butlers right now.
Yes.
Do you
And
know
it's-
there's
Proper butlering.
do you know
But
there's
only
an
when
app
I'm
now?
ready, and then after that, you can go away.
Right. And it's not even that she wants anything. She wants us to know where she is. So if
That's
she goes
adorable.
from like the bed to the window, she'll let us know that she's moved from the bed to the window. And that's it.
Oh
Just
my
so you know.
I
By the
wish I
way,
was
there's
kidding.
there's an app now where you can translate your cat's meow. We started using it last week, and when I was,
What?
yeah, I forgot the name of the app.
What?
I'll have to
What
look
did you
it up again.
discover?
But he, like, I put it next to the cat when he was for food, and he says, "I'm stalking you," and I'm like, "Really? No,
I'm stalking
I'm
you.
stalking you." And then there was another one like,
That
love
would
you,
be what a
feed
cat
me.
would
You
say. That's-
it's like I don't know how accurate it is, but
Was it
Funny.
powered by Babelfish?
I think so. I don't know.
Probably only like 66% then. So
Oh my gosh.
So pick the
Yeah.
60% of that translation, and that's the one that's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
I'm guessing stalking.
Grant and Chris, don't take my fun away from me.
Oh my
okay?
gosh. Oh my gosh.
hey, you guys are talking about like cats communicating with you a la Ash's Pikachu in a freaking anime, okay? That's more fun than any of these Babelfish jokes I can stand to crack. Just saying.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Have you
I
seen
can't.
any of those buttons? Like those, like there's a dog that I've seen on TikTok
Yeah.
named Bunny, and it's like,
mhm.
eat now, eat now. Oh,
Yes.
Bonnie
I
wants to
saw
eat.
a
Yes,
video
mom,
by
eat
the
now.
dodo where a cat had that
I
with
was-
its owner.
Dude, could you imagine? So I had this idea. It's so crazy you said that, because what's interesting is that these animals, once they realize that they can speak in these, just like kids, once they realize they can put these puzzle pieces of these words together, then they start going into concepts. So could you imagine the dog and the cat having this conversation with each other? Like, how cool would that be? You come home and the cat's like, you be quiet, my turn to eat now. You know, then the other dog's like, no, my turn to eat now. You know, and you're just like, what's going on? What's going on? And
They
then they're
still
just
be plotting world domination, so I'm not sure how far you want that to
Do you
go.
guys remember back in the very early days of the interwebs, and there was a video circulating of a man who was deaf, and his cat had to communicate with him that he was
Yes.
hungry, so he learned how to do "I'm hungry" in sign language.
Oh.
So the guy knew to feed his cat.
oh my gosh, it's so cute.
It's the realest thing. So they're
have to
smart.
see that.
Don't
They're
believe their
smart.
lies.
No,
They're
smart.
planning and plotting.
Yeah, they're just too smart.
Yeah, because they're
My-
always
my-
observing you, right?
Yeah, watching with
kitty.
their eyes, waiting for the moment. And then if you die with this is a fact. I love cats. I have 4. If you die, right, and you're by yourselves and you don't feed your cat while your decomposing body is just laying there, they'll eat you.
I've heard that. That's
Yeah, that's what they
scary.
do with babies.
No,
They wait and they just want to make sure they're alive. They're not going to kill the baby, but if
Not
it
my cat.
does, they're having human veal.
Not
That's
my
what's
cat.
happening.
I'd say that's true love right there.
Yes, it is.
I'm vegan, so they're gonna be like, "Ew, she tastes nasty." You
She's
know.
pale. This is wrong.
I actually have a cat, a black cat, and she just turned 9 yesterday. And she's a little Instagram model and stuff like that. And she made the semifinals of America's Favorite Pet. And I swear, I'll put on her outfit. We have a backdrop. She'll go to it, turn around, like, "Can you start shooting, please?"
Oh my
Like now.
gosh. You put her in an outfit. What kind of outfit?
Just different dresses, different
That's
outfits, and
awesome.
everything like that. And she'll
Like
pose.
superhero costumes and stuff, and like,
Everything
I'm a
that-
little wizard. Hey, Gandalf.
Well, I dressed her
they're
in different outfits. She was Little Red Riding Hood this last Halloween. So I was like, "Oh, the big bad wolf," you know, put her little things in.
Incredible. Incredible.
And she
I'm
lets
surprised
me.
she's willing to keep that up for so long.
I started it when she was a kid, but I think she's just the star kitty cat. She just wants to do what mommy's doing.
Oh my
acting.
gosh. That's incredible.
Wants to
Wow.
follow
She
mommy's
loves me.
footsteps.
I want to follow
Oh
my
my-
footsteps.
Oh my god.
I live through my cat. I'm a stage mom cat.
That's right. That's right. Come on, kid. Get over there. Get over there.
Get
Lights,
over there.
camera, action, kid. Get over there.
Pull
Make
your
mama
weight.
money.
Make mama money.
We all need to be working in this household.
Somebody's got to pay these bills.
Hey,
Tuna's not cheap.
So what other projects? Let's go one at a time. Since we have you on the screen here, Lizette, what are some of the other projects in addition to, or is it just 1,000% only things that Ashley create for you? What other
Oh,
kinds
no.
of creations? I feel that Ashley probably has such a huge imagination. She's like, oh yeah, don't you think about another movie role until you finish this one first. Oh, after that, we got a podcast. So hold your horses.
Well, she was telling me about some other, episodes to come. I'm not going to talk about it, but yeah, she has other things in the works. But yeah, I've been up to a lot. People talk about quarantine and being so like bored and stuff, and I'm like, not me. How? I've done a episode, a podcast with Ashley. I've done before that. I did another audio kind of radio teleplay too. It's called The Barefoot Spirit, based on the wine, the Barefoot wine. So that was actually nominated for best audiobook of the year, business audiobook of the year last year at the Audio Awards. So that's
interesting.
Project.
So the whole thing was about someone about barefoot wine.
So they turned their book into an audiobook, but they didn't want to just have a narrator read the whole entire thing. They wanted other actors to act out the scenes and stuff like that. It's kind of the first time that's ever really been done too. So that's available on Audibles, iTunes, on their website, thebarefootspirit.com. And they're getting a lot of publicity. And now, because they did that, they have other business books that want to do the same thing that the creators, Michael Houlihan and Bonnie Houlihan, done too. So that's another project that I took part in. I played 5 different characters in that.
Oh, that must have been fun. Must have been fun.
So much fun. I mean, this is before the COVID-19 situation. So we were recording in an actual studio. So I had to do everything in the studio. And then I had to go back for re-recordings and stuff just because they wanted specific things. But every time I went in there, it was like more and more fun. And just like Ashley, they were like, Lizette, just go for it. And I was like, okay, where's my direction? They're like, you're doing it. Just do it. You got it, So it's just like, okay. So when I get into the studio, the voiceover studio, I kind of go crazy. My thing is, if I'm not sweating, I'm not working. So that's kind of like
there you go.
My thing. So if I'm sweating, I'm like, all right, I'm on it,
So are you sure you haven't taken Bob Bergen's animation class? Because I could have sworn he said that to me.
No, but I've met Bob at a voiceover event in Burbank, like 2 years ago, back when we can hang out together.
And I remember telling Bob that if you're not sweating, you're not working.
Yeah. Was I drunk or was he drunk? Because one of us said that.
The domino effect just rolls down. It'd be great if there he is. He's like, wait, so that advice I heard actually came from you to him, to me?
I'm going to teach his
class.
class.
One for drinks at the end of the class, so wouldn't surprise me.
Bob is actually one of my, oh my God, I look up to that man so much. And I'm dying to take his class. We talked though. He said he wants me in there, and we'll figure that out.
What is this? Who is he? What is this?
Bob Bergen. He teaches. He does the voices of I believe Bugs Bunny and also Boss. No, not
Porky and
yeah.
Everybody.
Bob Bergen is Porky. Bugs is Eric Bauza.
Eric Bauza. Right. And then a Boss guy too. Boss. Oh my God, that movie. I think I'm blanking.
Boss Baby.
Boss Baby. He was also at the event. I forgot his name too, but he's another legend too. But yeah, he's kind of like the Mel Brooks of this time, of this decade, I guess you can say,
Well, I think stuff like this, where you all are finding your tribe, you're building upon strengths and an astounding momentum of imagination already within what you have with this ecosystem, and it makes total sense that you're magnetizing all these other jobs that, of course, echo the very same stuff that you're doing with this group here. And what's cool is it's so interesting. It's like, the way that I hear you two talking about this guy, you are just him or his predecessors in this current state. So it's so interesting because it's so interesting. There's this quote, and I'm probably going to mess it up, but it's like, people, like every mother or father wants their kid to be like the next Beethoven, until they actually have the next Beethoven, until their kid actually is the next Beethoven. And it's like, why are you so strange? What are you doing over there? Why are you, and it's like, well, that's the genius mind. You got to kind of let them kind of go off and be their own thing. And so what's awesome with what you have going on here, you're so tuned in to, you've all got a great rapport. You've all got, such a wonderful give and take about each other. When one of you is talking, the others stop to listen. You're like, oh, you're getting a kick out of each other. And what you're doing right now is perfectly where you need to be. From this perspective, from what I'm seeing, it's hard to see sometimes when you're in it, you know? But since I have the luxury of being able to kind of view it from the outside, I could definitely say just keep doing what you're doing. And this, you know, I'm getting remnants of Adam Sandler and his whole crew, or Wes Anderson and his whole crew, or any of the, you know, Kevin, you mentioned Kevin Smith earlier, Kevin Smith and his old crew, you know, it's like, it's only natural. They're so comfortable with each other that they just keep, you know, working with each other. So you're all doing a phenomenal job. I love hearing these stories.
To know every single person in this room. It's everyone's incredible, and they're so passionate. It's such a beautiful thing. So I'm grateful we all kind of connected through years of knowing each other, and now we're able to do this. So
and Kurt, to finish answer your question, I have so many projects going on. It's like impossible to like label all of them, and some of them are hush hush, NDA, and all this stuff. But I lost a dear friend of mine, Dustin Diamond, recently. You know, Screech from Saved by the Bell.
Oh, yeah.
We were friends for over 10 years, but the irony is that his good friend, best friend, and another friend of ours, we're all kind of collaborating to work on like projects in the future with dedicated to him, contributing to him. And I have something big with one of his good friends, Dan Block, and we're gonna work on something, and that's another big project coming soon. But I'm excited about that one, but I can't talk too much about it. But that's gonna be my next big thing, because I'm also an on-camera actor too, and I do commercials, TV. I just like waking up in the morning and not knowing where my next project is coming from, whether it's a voiceover, a podcast, animation, music, video game, music video, who knows, TV, film. Every day there's something different. So, you know, it's hard to tell you everything. We'll be here all day.
Well, you know, when you just keep saying yes to your inspiration, you know, when you follow that intuition and it's something that resonates with you, you know, that's a clear indicator. It's like, okay, keep going this way. You know, there's more along this path that you don't even know yet. Wait, just say yes to this thing and we'll unlock the other extra levels here what's this now? What? Huh? You know, that kind of stuff happens because you just say yes. You know what? That really rings true to me. Okay, let's keep doing that. And what's so funny is that as a result of that, it takes guts to do this. You know, this conversation we're having here takes guts. And what's interesting is when you find yourself getting to that level of it's something just being so natural, you could just, you know, to someone else on the outside, they're like, what the heck? I could never do that. But once you get into that flow of just doing it, look at what's happening for you. You're getting all these projects coming to you because you're activating that, you know, excitement and you're going
I'm also meditating more, and I started meditating in quarantine. And I think I recommend that to everybody, because since I started meditating, it's done something for my life. Like you said, it's opened up my creativity. It's letting me allow things to come to me, law of attraction, so to speak, but you know, through meditation as well too. And I've just I feel clearer in my mind and just in my heart, and I'm ready to like work to get to it. And I'm not standing in my own way, which sometimes artists tend to do. We stand in our own way. So I finally just let go of all that criticism to myself and just said, God, send me what you want, and I will take that step. And hopefully it's a good project. And I've been lucky. I'm working with a great cast, great projects, and I ask God to send me the best of the best. So, you know, I think it's starting to happen slowly but surely. So.
Well, plus you have this wonderful group here who's very encouraging and wanting to see you do the best you can with what you got. And, you know, that's such a huge deal. And that's something that's probably not spoken about enough, about the importance of being able to surround yourself where you can be in your element with these people, where they get a kick out of each other, you know, they're like, oh, what funny thing is she going to say next? Oh my God, he just said that hilarious thing. Did you just hear what he said? You know, and it's like, I can see that within this whole group here. It's so cool.
Well, it's funny too, because one time when we were recording stuff, Ashley said, she sent me some takes of Christopher stuff, Chris Alton. And she was like, listen to what he says and then kind of like match him, so to speak. And you remember, none of us worked with each other in person. So she sent me some of his takes and stuff. And when I listened to it, I just started laughing. And I felt like Chris was in the room with me. So it just like motivated me, like, oh, damn you, Chris. You know, like,
so what happens later after episode 1, because episode 1 is in the festival, but I also play her husband. So we had a lot of dialogue, you know, together without having ever been together. So we would, you know, occasionally we would just need to hear what the other person did so we can get, you know, kind of merge, and it worked seamlessly, I think.
We had
And
good chemistry without even being in the room together. So
yeah, and it could be just because we have good chemistry. We've known each other for a few years now, and it was great to officially work together.
I know, finally, we always talk about it, right? And we never
Right.
did. And finally, it takes a pandemic for us to get together.
It's ironic, really, but
The irony.
Right.
Well, what's so interesting is that all the time we hear that phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And then the next thing is like that people usually say, well, what's the who I know? I don't know anyone. Who's the who I know? Well, it's situations like this. The who you know is the people you already know. So it's like, it's so funny because there are so many directors, writers, actors out there who are like, oh, I wish I had a project. I wish I had a project. And it's like, and to me, I think, well, why don't you all just make a project together? It seems like such a natural thing, and you have all been doing that, which is just fantastic. So when you go in for your next audition or something, there's no desperation attached whatsoever to it, because you're like, oh, I already got my own thing going on. If I don't get this thing, no big deal. I get to, that means I have more time to hang out with my friends, to do these crazy projects.
Yeah, you don't go in desperate. You go in like confident.
Yes.
That's different. Absolutely.
So what kind of other projects are you guys working on? Who else has some new other interesting things you're doing?
Well, me personally, or who wants to go? You want to go?
You started speaking first, Mariah. Your turn.
So basically, I'm just trying to be nice. I work more on music. I definitely write more lyrics than anything. Like, I will be laying in bed at like 2 a.m. not being able to sleep, and I'll hear like these songs in my head that aren't real. And I'm like, oh, I got to write this down right now. And sometimes I'll hear them in like specific artists singing them, like, oh, I can see Lady Gaga singing this, or Reba McEntire, like different genres even. So I just have a book full of lyrics, and I'm like, can I possibly sing these? So I kind of practice and see if I could even hit those notes that they can sing. And it's a lot of fun. I love working on music. I sing and I play drums and I write lyrics, and that's just a huge passion of mine, aside from voice acting too. So that's something that I've kind of been working on for a bit, and it's a long process, but it eventually gets there. So I'm just finishing up some songs right now and trying to see where it goes, really.
I noticed that it's a lot more easier to when you're creating art and you do it with such a playful spirit and going, just like you said, well, let's just see where it goes. Those are usually the things that go the farthest, because you don't, like you were saying earlier, you don't have that desperation attached. You're like, oh, please like it, please, everybody, please. You're just going, oh, let's just see what the heck happens. Let's just go ahead and try it.
It's a lot of fun. There is that, like, oh, I hope it does, because it's something you're passionate about, but it's all positive. It's just seeing where it goes. It doesn't go, try to go another direction. It's just putting your stuff out there. That's all it really is. If that makes any sense.
You look like you're making a project right now, Paranormal Activity, like the screen.
Oh gosh, wait, I'm so sorry. My room
it's awesome. It's like
Paranormal Activity.
If I turn up the
thing going on here with your style choice and your lighting there, is that intentional?
Oh my gosh, no, it's literally if I open my blinds, I'll be white as a ghost. I can't do that, or else I'll look like I'm washed out.
No, I love it. It's like, wow, I'm watching a movie.
Oh, here's the next episode.
There we go.
Unintentional. I love it.
So do you sisters, do you work on music together?
Yeah, we collab, and it's really funny. It kind of just breeds out of just being together for so long. But it's like music, and then like video games. Like we game together too, which is a lot of fun. Like during the entire quarantine, we beat a few Zelda games together, and it kind of triggered my I now stream live on Twitch. So that's fun, and that keeps me, with my gaming too. So yeah, Mariah and I, we work quite a bit together. We don't realize that we work so much together. I think it's like, so second nature that we do things together. So yeah, it'd be cool.
There are all kinds of great teams out there like that. When you think about the Coen brothers and they both direct while they're on set, this guy has some stuff and this guy has some stuff. Oh, okay. Okay. So you're getting direction from both of the brothers, and I think it just helps enhance what's going on there. I mean, do the sisters, do you co-direct things together, or I mean, how?
we haven't ventured into that just yet, but I feel like we would do a bomb job.
Honestly, same. We work really well together because we grew up together. We know our personalities, and it has two different perspective on things.
Very different too. Like, she does things, it's like, you know, the yin and the yang. We totally, like, sometimes when we fight, it's, you know, epic too. But sometimes when, you know, we work together, it's like, it definitely is like a puzzle piece clicking. And she thinks of things that I don't think of, and vice versa. So yeah, we should direct something, Mariah.
I'm in.
Given these two ideas.
That's it.
So Grant, what other kinds of things have you been working on, or what are some of your dream projects?
Recently I've been on this, like, I've been getting more audiobook work. Just last week for a nonprofit organization, Learning Ally, I did the most recent Dogman book. If you're familiar with Captain Underpants, author Dave Pilkey, it's another series that Dave Pilkey writes. I just did the most recent Dogman book, and I'm still working on some release logistics with ACX, but I narrated my first long form audiobook called Wish You Were Here, a Rock Fantasy, all about like Beatles era rock stars. This one specifically meeting a bunch of like, it's not these actual performers, but it's based on them, characters based on them, meeting other celebrities, whether it be actresses, musical performers, just public speakers. And in both of these books, I have to play everybody. Absolutely everybody. And it is some of the wildest work I have ever done. But I love it because I get to be all Billy West when he was working on Futurama and literally having conversations with myself in the booth. And it's really trippy.
Wow. What the heck? What was that like to, I mean, how many, I'm imagining it's probably at least 100 pages. I mean, what's it like to read through that whole thing? I mean, how do you not like, you're like, oh my God, it's been 8 hours playing 43 different characters, man. I'm tired. I need to sleep a little bit. How do you do that?
I do it in solo chapter chunks for the long form book. And I just write down every single character that appears. If I have a voice for them, cool. I just have to remind myself. If I don't, then that's where I get the inspiration. I try to practice. I do the first chapter with them. But with Dogman, it's written more like a comic book. So some of the pages don't have any words on them at all. So from the narrator's point of view, you just get to skip them. But like some of my favorite interactions in the Dogman books, they're between a character, Petey the cat, at one point the villain, and his mini-me styled son, Lil Petey. And there are moments between those two taken right out of the Animaniacs, which, if I could be on that show, that would be because as Ashley and Chris and Mariah know, I quote that shit all the time.
I can testify, yep.
Like, sometimes you have to hear me go into Petey the cat saying something like this. And then Lil Petey just goes like, why? Why? Because of this. Why? Because of this. No, you're not getting it, kid. Like, why? And it can be so much fun, but sometimes it can be very hard to keep track of all the characters.
I was just gonna say, if you got all those characters, like, how, I mean, with something like that, well, and then to echo back with what you're saying about Animaniacs, I heard that that's coming back out. You know, so there is an opportunity that you could be on there.
Last November, I don't know if the second season is in production. If it's not yet, I am going to do my damnedest to try to find a way in because hello, dream job. It's like that kind of work. It's what I've been getting most recently. Hopefully Wish You Were Here will be released soon. Still have to talk to ACX about it. But yeah, Animaniacs would be a dream job. Anything with Nintendo would be a dream job. Like indie animations based on the Nintendo characters. I've lent my voice to the Mario Brothers in a few various versions.
Awesome.
It's just been a lot of fun. And then I moved, and now I've got a space to deck out before I can really get back in front of the microphone again. But once I do, as Lizette was saying a little while ago, then I'll really feel like I can just take off and be like, all right, whatever you are up there, God, Buddha, Zeus, flying spaghetti monster, serve me your best.
So with the audiobook that you did you also have to do like all the soundscape and that was something that was really good with Old Timey Radio Hour actually is like the fact that you or Old Timey Spectral Hour is the fact that you had the microphone, it was around the back. I could hear it sounded like the back around the back of my head and stuff. And how did you do that? How did you play with that soundscape with that?
Well, actually, from what it was my first book on ACX, so I was like what we did here, learning as I go.
Mm-hmm.
For ACX audiobooks, you're actually encouraged not to include background music, not to do the soundscapes, because for Amazon Audible readers or listeners, it's more they just need the characters, they need the chapters individually, and they need to make sure that there are no like audible clicks in your recording. So I had to edit a lot of that stuff out and a lot of like bum takes or like things I used to get into the character voices. But I was never like, I was asked to include music as like segues before certain chapters. And that like, I did that per the author's direction. And I had to email the files back and forth to her and be like, is this how you want it? Does this sound okay? And usually she approved it. But as far as like taking footsteps, ambient noise inside a cave or something, you were actually encouraged not to do that for the sake of keeping the audio and the recordings clear. But getting back to Old Timey, yeah, the way Ashley was able to play around with that and Alton was able to play around with that, it really brought some aspects of the show to life that wouldn't have been there, that wouldn't have hit the same without it.
So Alton, you were the one who did all the. So I know you did the demon voice. You did all that and the walking and all that stuff out there. That's awesome.
I played with the space. Pretty much, Ashley would try to describe to me, mostly via text, just because scheduling is crazy. So she would text me or call me at like 11:30 at night, like, okay, I want it to sound like this. And then I would go nuts and just go crazy in Adobe Audition until I got, the ambiance right, or it creeped me out. If it creeped me out, I knew it was in zone. Like that's where I wanted it to get. And you only get that from a failed radio career after 15 years. So
where did you work? What radio station?
Pretty much anywhere that had a call sign, I was all about it, man. I will get to that station. I will do my best. But I've pretty much do radio all over California, parts of New Mexico, parts of pretty much the entire Western United States. I've done radio in some degree there.
So there's a channel that I had my own radio show on a channel called K-Chung. It was 16:30 a.m. in Chinatown, Los Angeles. Wow. It was great. It was like a pirate radio station. I had it on the 1st and 3rd of every Monday for an hour. So it was great because I'd find people when I was on the subway or when I was just walking on the corner of a street, and if I heard something interesting going on, I'd be like, hey, do you want to be a guest on my show? So I learned, I got to meet like just tons of really creative people. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is that they're always looking for new volunteers. They're always looking for new DJs there. And it's a $10 a month donation to basically put whatever the heck you want on there. And so basically what they're doing now is you send them your MP4, of whatever it is that you got on there, and then they run it on the radio station. So I can forward you any of that information if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's way cool. Yeah, I love radio. The problem I had with doing radio is the radio voice. So, like you're doing all day doing like news talk or whatever, and you're doing the radio voice, and then you leave there and you take a phone call from your family or your loved ones, or you go to Jack in the Box drive-through and you still talk like this. So that part drove me nuts all the time, but it's kind of fun now.
I agree with Chris. I used to be an on-air DJ for this called IndieCharts.com. It's an online radio station. They went away for a little bit, but same like Chris, I liked my show because I had my own show, Words of Wisdom with DJ Liz. But 5 a.m. till 9 a.m. was my show, and it was like I was half asleep trying to like be pumped up.
Oh yeah. I did. So one of my first gigs was producing and board opping a news radio show that started. I had to be there at 3:30. So from 3:30 to 9 was the morning show, After that, I had a production and marketing job. And then I did afternoons on a hip hop station. So I had to switch it up and go, yo. And then I went across the hall.
Switch it up and go, yo.
And then go across the hall to a classic rock station where it was grimy and dirty voice.
Way.
So I go from like,
yo,
like,
all
yeah,
right,
everybody. Like, I'd be like, and morning traffic is looking, congested on the 101 freeway. And then from there, it goes to, yo, what's going on? It's the afternoon. And then from there, like, coming up next, Ozzy Osbourne. And that was my day.
And Chris brings up such a good point, because the same thing with me. I had like 3 jobs: the radio show, I was working this other thing at the time, I forgot what gig I was that was, and then I was also a car show model. So I had to go from hi, welcome to hi, I'm so pretty and I'm at the car show, welcome. Do you
I had to do the so pretty thing too, and it's insane.
It's like everybody has those phases.
So yeah, switching gears, it's just like, I mean, it's just, you just got to be ready. You just got to be ready to do it.
And switch the brain. It's like multiple personality disorder. Like you have to go from all these different characters back to back, maintain that for the few hours the on-air shift was, and then switch it up to go to the next one, and then go home and be a normal person. And there's nothing normal about it.
What's that? What's a normal person?
Exactly.
Normal person.
So yeah, so that really helped, I think, with this show as far as the production goes, because for extra money I would go and help out and do some production and do commercials, local and national spots and all that, and you just learn the tricks of the trade. So it just really helped out when I was shaping the audio for this.
So all that was training for something like this. Isn't it crazy when we look at the domino, when we look at the breadcrumb trail of like what we're able to do now with the projects that are happening, and we go, oh, it's because I went through this obstacle course, and then I went through that obstacle course. I went through this, and then all of a sudden it led me here to this moment that now I have all these skills to, the battle the dragon now, that I can cast a spell. It's all because you went through that other stuff. And it's like, it's amazing when when you're in it, you're probably like, oh man, this sucks. Like, what the heck? But little did you realize back during that time when you had to keep doing all these voices and was there ever a time where you accidentally slipped up and you're like, you like, instead of like the hard rock, your voice, you're like, yo, let's listen to Ozzy Osbourne. Yo.
No, what would happen would be, so if I was in the same building, I did okay. But if I got like another job, so I'd be at like, WKRP, right? And then I get fired from there. So next Monday I started WNBC. So I'd go to WNBC and be like, you're listening to WKR. No, you're not. This is, that was the problem. So you definitely want to make a note, just radio career, to anybody out there who's listening or watching this, know what station you're physically at before you start talking about
Put it on a Post-it.
Yeah, or another fun thing that would happen, just radio horror stories, is I was doing a remote radio show that was in Lake Tahoe and parts of what else is up there, like Arizona, up that way kind of stuff. And so they would send me the songs that would play, contests, or any local news. So I would just read it like I was there. And so I looked at the weather report. It was a beautiful sunshiny day, high is 75. And so I'm like, beautiful sunshiny day. And then as it's airing, because it aired a few hours later, the boss calls me and he's like, yeah, it's snowing.
Oh,
I'm like,
dude.
Oh, that's my bad.
Oh, dude.
I just read what you gave me, man. Sorry, that's my bad.
Yeah.
Well,
JK.
see, now we're looking behind the curtain here. Now we're understanding why, the weathermen seem to be wrong, most of the time, because it's like they're like, well, right now it's a beautiful sunny day, but by the time this airs, it might be snowing, So
Exactly.
It's so funny because here you are like, oh, it's a beautiful sunny day. Oh, there's a kid with the kite. Oh, there are people over there picnicking, and then by the time it airs, it's like, it's a blizzard outside.
So yeah, just life lesson. If you're not in the area, don't talk about weather. You don't know.
And if you have part of this industry where you have to have multiple voices in your head doing multiple lines, I can only vibe with this from the audiobooks thing. Try to use context clues to see what character you're actually supposed to be. Because I can't say, I don't know if I brought this up during the audiobook thing, but when I was narrating Wish You Were Here all the flipping time, there would be moments where I narrate some person's line in the wrong voice, and then I only catch it when I'm done with the chapter. I'm like, wait a minute, why did I say this as the main dude when I'm supposed to be playing some hot topic-y version of a Hollywood celebrity? Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, character analysis is key for any type of voice work, period, across the voice spectrum.
And make sure you keep your characters in in some sort of organized line. You know,
Yeah.
it's like keep tabs on them. If you have voices in your head, like most voice actors do to some degree, keep tabs on them.
Yeah.
So what do you do for that audio? Oh, no,
Go ahead, Kurt. No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask him for the audiobook. I mean, do you just have all, like, okay, I'm imagining, do you have like a whole separate device that has, like, you press play on it and it gives you a little sample, like, oh, okay, all right, that's the vibe I'm looking for. Or is it you just got them all down here, like, okay, remember, this guy kind of sounds like whatever, Mr. Furley. Okay, this guy kind of sounds like Tony Danza, whatever. Or is it a combination of them?
What I did during this audiobook, which I'll either keep the strategy going or when I get my next one, to change it up a bit with the new studio set layout, I would write down whatever chapter I was working on, I would write down all the characters in that chapter. So I could just flip back to the notebook and say, oh, right, this character appeared in this chapter also. So go to that chapter's audio, listen to the reference, make sure I can still do it, and then just like practice it a little bit to get myself back in. And there were times when, thank goodness I had that. Otherwise, I would have gone nuts.
Wow, we're just peeling back the curtain here of what goes on behind this stuff. Because now anybody who has ever heard of an audiobook, it's like now they're going to be like, whoa, the thing I just listened to is like, you know, this poor person that I'm watching here talking about their audiobook experience, this person that I'm listening to in my recent audiobook had to probably go through something very similar. You know, it gets them to appreciate it so much better.
Yeah, and then there's the whole personal aspect that goes with it. Like if past, like we were saying, episode 1, I play a more prominent character in it besides just demon number 2. But while we started recording this, I was in the midst of like a crazy battle with COVID. Like personally, I still have difficulty breathing. I had all of the bad stuff. And so I had to find a way to incorporate and like mask my symptoms while recording this in a character and then do demon growls without having lung capacity. So it was like a whole thing of doing everything Grant just talked about on top of my own personal body, you know? So it was interesting. It's been an interesting year. I'll just say that.
Well, on that note too, I was going to say, since we're giving pointers, also the most important thing to do as a voice or actor especially is take care of your voice and your health. I mean, there was a time where I had an audition and then I hopped on a plane and the producer called me and said, you have a call back? And I was like, well, I can't make it in. I'm flying to Philadelphia to do, you know, my car show stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I missed that opportunity. But then for some reason that part didn't get filled. And she says, hey, all right, when do you fly back? And I said, Monday. And she said, great. We haven't cast yet. So we're still interested in you for the lead. So can you come in? And this is for an anime cartoon and stuff. They were like, can you come into our studios as soon as you land? So I said, sure. You know, I'm coming from like Philadelphia where there was that blizzard that Chris mentioned before. And I'm coming in or whatever. And coming from a really cold city or town to LA where it's nice and hot, I go into the studio, I get on the mic and I had no voice. I had laryngitis, you know, I had like the beginning part of it. And I do a lot of young, high pitch, young girly voices. And this girl needed a really high voice and I nailed it before in the audition, but at the callback, and they were like, Lizette, we love you and stuff, but we need to start shooting this week. We can't, you know, take a chance on hiring you. And then you get a bad case of laryngitis. So let's just say I left the studio like devastated. And I said, that is never going to happen to me again. So I took great classes to train my voice better, you know, all the remedies, throat coat. If you haven't heard of that, that's a miracle worker. And I just learned to, you know, accept that happens to people sometimes, but never again will I, you know, take advantage of my voice because that's key to continue to work as an actor, especially a voiceover actor, you know, so. but I've learned my lesson the hard way. So take care of your voice.
Actually, I just got, speaking of like callbacks and all that, I just got a callback. So I actually need to go and do that. I'm sorry, everyone. This is
Just
kind
now,
of
I
an exciting
love
No
it.
way.
Yeah.
I love
So,
it. Look at
'cause
we conjured it up.
most
We
people
conjured it
here,
up.
yes, I will accept all light, energy, prayers, thoughts,
Wowzers.
good vibes.
Wow.
Because yeah, like everyone here, I'm also an actor. I do stage, screen, anything. If you got a camera or microphone, I'll get on it, no problem. But if I can shamelessly plug one of my projects,
Please,
that I
yes,
started this year,
absolutely.
it's actually Bearded Things. It's a podcast I'm doing with a good friend of mine. It's kind of anything creepy, spooky, paranormal, odd, or just strange. And it doesn't necessarily have to be things that bump in the night. We pretty much talk about that. And it's on all of the streaming services. It's a lot of fun. I don't think I'm just being like, biased because it's mine, but it actually is a lot of fun. So shamelessly plugging that, Bearded Things. It's streaming everywhere you want to stream. So
I love it.
guys.
Really fast before everything wraps up, I wanted to speak so highly of the people that are here, especially Chris. When I was editing everything together, and I needed his help with the demon voice, I knew what he was going through, and I was so worried about him. There's nothing we could do, right? Because we're all in the confines of our own, places. And the dedication every single person in this room had to their project, despite all the stuff that they were all going through, because each person in here was going through something very different and very difficult at the time. They delivered, and they delivered with such heart and such gusto. And as a writer and a director, there's nothing better than having that passion behind what they do and how incredible they are at their craft. So if you're looking to hire, I spread it out all over. These four are incredible. And Diane, who isn't pictured, is also just incredible. You can go look up everybody on IMDb. They're all amazing. I can't speak more highly than right now of everybody here. So I love
And
it.
we have an amazing director too, creator, director. She's talented writer, Ashley Karp. I mean, this woman, when she asked me to do this project, I was like, hell yeah, I've been dying to work with you because I know everything she works on touches to gold. It's just, she gets things in festivals, she gets things, she's just magnificent. So there's going to be a lot of good stuff from this woman. So watch out.
Yeah. And I do need to skip out, and
Okay.
just to throw a quick inside joke is I did a great job, everyone. So you're welcome.
He did a
Always.
great job.
Great job.
Always did a great job.
Yeah, you guys can explain that one later. I gotta go. Thank you so much for having me here.
Bye,
You guys
Chris.
are amazing.
luck.
Christopher,
I
Break a
love you,
leg.
everyone.
Break a
goodbye.
leg.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye.
Do
Namaste.
it. All the good energy for you, Chris. Do it.
Yes.
Positive vibe.
Do it.
Energy.
So is there anything anyone else here would like to plug? Do you want any websites you want to send people to, or?
AshleyKarp.com. I'm also streaming on Twitch. Appy Normal is my name. And whatever game I'm playing is my game. So right now it's Ghost of Tsushima, which is a blast. And I love video games.
Yeah. Are you a fan of like any of the point and click adventure games, like the old LucasArts or any of those?
Oh God, well, LucasArts, you just anything Star Wars is my vein. So
yes.
like the right one. Well, I grew up. Oh God, our dad, Ryan, my dad, and our little brother, who's not in here. We all grew up with, my dad was a PC gamer. Grew up with like games like System Shock 2 and which is precursor to BioShock, and that's one of my favorite games. And just love. I'm more of the campaigner. I like games that have a story. So like anything Naughty Dog puts out, like Last of Us or Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima I'm playing right now. That's usually my gab. But
I mentioned
I never really got. I don't know. It didn't click for me. But if I can hold the controller in my hand, then that's the game. That's usually what I'm.
Yeah, that BioShock soundtrack.
Youth gamers too. We play Kingdom Hearts together on campaigns and stuff. So.
Oh, that's great.
God.
Yeah, we're a whole bunch of video gamers here. Listen, I think you game too, don't you?
I do voices for video games. I used to. When I was a kid, I used to play a lot of video games, but then I just got so addicted to them that I was just like not doing anything else. So I was just like, kind of had to take a break. And every time I see someone else playing, I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm like centipedeing out, or it's just I I love gaming, but I just try not to do it so much because I'm just I'll get addicted to it again. So
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Someone mentioned earlier, one of you mentioned Legend of Zelda, and
Oh my gosh, yes.
and I just hold on. You got to hear this. I accidentally figured out that I could play this on here. Hold on. It's not the best, but
oh.
Yes.
Yes, that's amazing.
I just discovered that. I'm like, what the hell? I'm doing it. But that game, oh my God, was just so addictive because you're like in this world. Any of those open world games,
So
BioShock,
great.
Fallout. I love those soundtracks. And to be honest with you, I listen to those soundtracks all the time. Like YouTube will have like a
Same.
live streaming. It'll have like a live streaming thing. Do you like those songs too? The old timey.
Yeah.
Oh, love them.
So good.
Oh, so great.
My ringtone, I think, is something from Zelda. So yeah, we're in it.
Yeah.
I
My
have a
ringtone
love,
is Tetris.
yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Zelda. I used to love it, and then it was so complicated. I'm like, oh God, can I just get or the control on the floor, you know? So.
Yeah.
Y'all will either love or hate me for this, because if you've heard of a little game called Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, it is the most open worldy, most possibly addictive. Like,
Oh no, where are you going with this?
there is.
No, Grant.
Oh no.
Like, if I could turn this laptop around, you would see the kind of gaming setup that Ashley helped me test and see worked in this new place.
It's
Wow, you guys. Oh my God.
like it's
The gamer's dream.
Get you re-addicted all over again. So
Jeez.
self-control is key.
Lisette, I feel the same way you do because I grew up playing video games and we had a Commodore 64 and I'd play I would play, you know, Maniac Mansion and Zack McCracken and Monkey Island and all those great,
Oh,
you know,
Monkey
those
Island,
LucasArts
Oh my
games.
gosh.
And they were just so good. And you know, there's no internet to try to some walkthrough or something. My brother and I, we'd play together, and we would, you know, I felt like Watson and Sherlock. We're like, okay, Josh, I was thinking about this today in school. Let's try this. And he'd like, oh, Kurt, I was thinking about this today in school. Let's try this. And so it was awesome. He's just like, holy cow, look what we did. Like we cracked the code, you know.
It consumes you, like just like you. My brother and I would be the ones. I have two older brothers, and my second oldest brother and I would always be the one, you know, hey, what'd you figure out today? Oh, I got the first sword or something like that, you know. And it's just like, and I grew up with my cousins and brother. I mean, you know, a whole family full of guys. I'm like the youngest girl in my whole family, the only girl really. But I was one of the first girls in my block to beat Super Mario 3.
No way.
Yeah.
You must have been so popular. Like, what? You know,
my brother was
exploding.
pissed. My brother was like, how'd you do that without me? It's like I stood up till like 4 o'clock in the morning because mom said I could.
Oh my God.
On a related story of pissing your older brothers off by beating their games,
Oh.
I ended up beating, like, I was the Mario guy. My brother was the Wario guy. Not much difference, I know. But I ended up beating my brother's copy of Wario Land 3. Just, like, because of my Mario skill. Like, he gave me my own separate save file and everything. But he just saw mine at, like, all the collectibles done, everything there. He's like, Grant, you weren't supposed to beat this before me. I'm like, it's not my fault I'm so good at Mario. He got pissed.
The one game.
Not my fault. I'm smarter than you.
Our brother, Ryan, Tyler, and I, we all played Ocarina of Time together. We could not play it if the other ones weren't home or available.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow.
And we got our hands on a guide, and we were stuck in the Sun Temple, and it was the best thing ever. Like those little moments where you didn't have internet, but we got a guide from a family friend.
Oh my gosh. It's like a golden key. You're like, what? You just gave me a guide to this thing? Now, was that the temple where there's like a whole series of like water pipes and stuff that you have to change, or was that a different?
No, that's a different temple. The Sun Temple is, I believe, when you could be adult and young Link. You have to switch between the two to get through the temple.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So great, this gamer conversation.
I know.
What podcast?
Oh my
All
gosh.
in.
Oh, I know they're so addictive. They're so addictive. It's like I love spending time there. When I lived with my ex-girlfriend, and I think her buying me PlayStation contributed to the downfall of a relationship because it correlated to Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, that's
Yes.
a great
Had
one.
come out at the time, and I didn't want to stop driving motorcycles up into the. I'm like, come on, honey, let's just watch me drive motorcycles up into the mountains, And it was just like the most fun thing to jump out of, no consequences. I'm on the top of a building. Yes, is it time to drive the motorcycle off? Yep. You're just like, oh my god, it was so addictive.
And then that was only 2 stars.
So, Mariah, was that rating the relationship or the stunt?
Oh, it ended up just going because I didn't want to do anything else. I was just like, oh man, it was so.
Did you ever play LA Noir? Because that was kind of around the same time.
Yes.
And that's a good
Love
one.
that game.
That was a great one.
I did play some of that because you actually had to do detective work in
Yes.
that and relook at things. Oh, and in the interrogation of people. So you're like, okay,
Interrogation was my
Yeah, and they had
favorite.
mocap
Yeah.
too.
It
So
was
like
like
the
a-
actual actors in
It was
that
like
game.
playing a movie too.
Yes,
The actors are great. It was just
You had to
great.
pick up on the subtleties of their facial expressions
Yes.
in order to get it right.
Yes, you had
Yeah.
to watch people's reactions. That game is fantastic.
They would just look at you.
oh yeah, yeah, right, yeah.
Something wrong, it would go.
Well, this is the cool thing. And so I was asking all about the video games because one of our sponsors is I don't know if you remember this video game or not, but it was called Sam and Max Save the World.
Yes.
And they made
Yeah.
Sam and Max Save the World remastered. So they remastered it so the whole outlook and everything looks so different. And earlier today, so I've been going, so I figured out I can do Twitch and it'll go into the lobby that we were at earlier. And sometime I'll figure out how to hook up the Zoom into there. But I've been doing my very first time on Twitch, actually playing a video game and doing it. So somewhere on our Twitch, it's the Kapow Intergalactic Virtual Film Festival Twitch has some of me bumbling through it, trying to figure this thing out. But I need to, plant this seed in my brain because I need to know where the gamers are at. So I know who to keep in mind for
Oh gosh,
getting
yeah.
out this video.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I'll
for
play
sure.
a game. I'm
Okay.
willing to play a game.
Oh yeah? Oh my
I don't
god, this
have
is
a
good to
script to
know.
read.
This is good to know.
Uh,
I don't have a script.
Plus voice talent these days. Studying.
I found the right
All
people.
of our gamer tags. That's
Yes.
how this will go down. So
When I have one, I will gladly send it. Because
Oh my
that's
gosh.
for the new studio setup, like a Twitch streaming desk is the plan. Knock on wood, you heard it here first, apparently.
Well, do any of you know programmers? Because I've been looking on Fiverr, and people on Fiverr, I mean, even for a couple $100, some of them will take a week, some of them will take a month, but depending on how complicated it is, people out there will make a video game for you. So I've been getting the sugar plums dancing in my head, thinking, oh, dude, this is where I can start my video game empire because I've got so many ideas for video games.
hell
I'm
yeah.
sure- I'm
Do
sure you
it.
probably got ideas for video games too, right?
Oh gosh.
Ashley, do you got a bunch?
Oh my God. If I had the opportunity to make my own video game, it would be incredible. I love gaming directors have you ever played the game like Heavy Rain? What's it called? Beyond Two Souls. The gaming director, I think, is David Cage. He's incredible. He makes these story-based games where your decisions affect the gameplay.
I love that.
A little bit like LA Noir, but more story-based. So I would love to work with somebody like him meets Hideo Kojima. I just want to make a horror, thriller video game where your decisions affect everything that happens. That would be the sickest thing.
Oh my god. That's what was so crazy about things like Fallout, where if you have a bad interaction with the kids
Yes.
early on,
Yep.
they remember that, and that reverberates through time, and you're like, oh my god, there's no there are some of those games where you could go through the whole conversation thing, and you're like, oh, go through every choice. But then there are those games like Fallout where it's like, oh, but where's that other choice? He was going to ask about the diamond.
Yep.
I wanted to ask about that, but oh no, it's too late now. We went in this direction,
That and Telltale, anything from the Telltale series, like Walking Dead. If you haven't played that, it's incredible. And they actually give you a breakdown at the end of each episode. You and 46% of people chose that choice. And it'll also compare your choices with your friends if they played. And it's the best thing ever. You would think that you had the most popular choice. And it was no, actually, you're in the 30 percentile. Oh, shoot, maybe I shouldn't have killed her.
I want to play.
Man.
I think
Oh.
it's funny because Ashley and I would also do this thing where it's like, oh, Ashley, could you pass me the milk? She's like, yeah. And I'd be like, Mariah will remember this. We don't joke about that.
If you want a more fantastical, like sort of JRPG kind of take on that, I heard that the Persona series is full of that sort of thing, where you have to spend time like actual days in the game, like developing friendships with other characters. And you could either like eventually potentially romance them, you could earn special attacks that way. I'm playing through essentially a baby's first Persona game on my Switch right now, which is like a crossover with Fire Emblem, another game that allows you to do that sort of thing conveniently. And it's just, I've been earning all of these special in-battle attacks and special skills and character reactions just because of doing the side missions and getting to know these characters better, making certain conversation choices. Wow. So it's like...
it's so important that they have this kinds of thing of like this consequence type of thing, because ideally, like to me, I'm hoping that subconsciously, those who are looking at this, they're going to think, like they're going to maybe lead more in their lives with the golden rule type of mentality where, they realize like, okay, I have an interaction and, maybe they have a flashback in Fallout where they're like, okay, I can either be nice to this person or not be nice. And, I wasn't nice to that person in Fallout and it turned out really bad later on in life. Maybe, because this is kind of teaching people, look what happens later on in life, depending on what's going on here. So maybe there's going to be this God, there's so much potential for education within this type of thing. Cause it's like, you be nice to a person, just like you're saying there. It's like, you be nice to this person and, oh, now let's give Grant the, flying points, now he can fly, up to the buildings or whatever, all because he had a nice conversation with this person.
You really can't fly, Grant, so don't think that's true.
Wait, say that again. What were you saying?
You really can't fly, Grant, so don't think that that's true.
Well, how's about this then? You're nice to enough people, you learn a special move that heals your entire health bar in the middle of a battle.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
In the game I'm playing, I got a couple of those because of some nice interactions. So the options are out there.
It's so cool that it's showing you're getting rewarded just for being nice, just for going out of your way, just for doing these things. That's what was so fun about like Zelda and well, heck, even Fallout. And I mean, you could get really detailed with these things. What blows my mind is that unless you have to act sort of accidentally or be led by intuition to just try something. And then you go, wait, hold on. I just unlocked a secret door, but I was just inspired to try this thing that's like, here's this rusty thing that's out in the middle of nowhere. And I just think to myself, holy cow, some video game designer designed that little pebble there, that little tiny tree that's growing up there, that little door, just for the chance of hoping that maybe someone would see that thing and try that thing. But otherwise knowing that a majority of people probably won't find that thing. And it's like, oh, I just love that. I love that attention to detail.
It is awesome. That's the beauty of video games. It's another world. You go in and you're able to explore and be immersed. Like that's the best thing about video games for me. Just
don't you wish we could do that in the real world? Oh, yes. Here you go. If you picked up your package, you get 2 points. Have a nice day, ma'am. Oh, you're so awesome. You get 5 points.
That's right. That's right.
Trophy unlocked, But how dare people grade others on some sort of personal scale in the real world? How dare we? It reminds me of that games, but how dare we?
That reminds me of that Black Mirror episode. Have you seen that one where they're like the social, the social points, right? Like, oh, she smiled at me. Well, let's give her a 7. She smiled at me. Oh, she just gave me a chocolate. Oh, thank you. You're getting an 8.
Oh man, that honestly scares me. That really does. That might be a reality.
Oh, frowny face. You're getting a 3. Sorry, sir. You're getting a frowny 3. Sorry, nope.
Awesome.
Wow, this has just been so fun to be able to geek out with everybody about all of these kinds of video games. The idea of manifestation of reality. All these like high vibrating things. This is just what it's all about, the lighthearted loftiness of like, oh yeah, laughing at each other's, because conversation to me it's an art form in itself. There's the give and there's the take and this person was really excited about something. Okay, let me stand out of the way. So they go, train coming through. Oh, now this person has a train of thought, So it's really interesting when you get to be around tribes like this, where you're all kind of, hitting the volleyball back and forth to each other.
Well, I always feel it's really good working on projects where everyone gets along. I mean, there's always going to be one or two people that kind of are sour and stuff, but when the majority of your cast or your crew and your director and producers, we all get along, can be personal with each other and have fun with each other. That's what it's about. That's what makes working on the project more fun and more interesting to go to work, because you don't want to work on something where you're just dragging your feet in because you're afraid that everyone's going to be in a bad mood. I mean, it's just so nice to have good, supportive and fellow cast members and director who we can be ourselves around, and just and it adds to the project. I mean, obviously we did well with this because we gave it our all. I mean, I was personally working on this project at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes, making sure I gave Ashley everything she needed. And if she would retake, Lizette, can you do this? Sure, I would do right away. I'd get up in the morning and do it again. I personally like to do my voiceover stuff at night. Like tonight I have 2 voiceover auditions, but I was like, no, I'm going to get up early and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to knock it out and send it to her, because I was just motivated that I want to do great with this for her, so, and for the project itself. So
it's passion for the art, man. If you love it, and that comes with it. It's like it's camaraderie. You all want it to be good because you love it, and you love creating, and that's the most inspiring part of making things. You don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm sure you've done projects too where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work with these, personalities, and that creative gumption to just go for it, and to have people that are passionate and love it. That matters so much.
Have fun with it too. I mean, if you can't have fun with it, that's when the passion starts to die.
True.
Gosh, well, my gosh, I had so much fun hanging out with you all today, and this is just so much fun.
Can I just plug too? Follow my cat.
Please. Yes.
That's important.
We need followers. her Instagram is it's Prissy Cat and Company, because pretty soon we're going to be launching her product line and stuff like that. So I'm trying to do some cat things with her, and my brother's creating a website for her and everything. So mine is all about Lizette Santiago, and Prissy's is it's Prissy Cat and Company. And then my website too, lizettesantiago.com. It'll link you to everything that I have going on. So just want to plug her because it's her
Awesome.
birthday. She made me tell you guys to plug her today.
Yeah. Oh, no wonder why the TMZ people are in your windows in the back there. No wonder. They're like, oh, there are cats in there. We know the cat's in there.
We didn't know you had people watching. You like to go and stare at everybody.
She was getting jealous of his cat. It's like, how come he gets to be in it and I can't?
Oh my
but
God.
Thank you so much, Kurt. This has been so much fun.
You're welcome. It was so great.
Thank you, seriously.
Thanks for helping me work out the kinks here. It's just so good. So good.
Oh, that was fun. That was like,
it was an adventure.
That was like a magic show.
Like a magic show. Now I'm here, now I'm gone. Now we're here, now we're gone. Where are we now?
I was fine working some of these.
It was like we were playing a game. Like,
it was.
Chris also
meet us in the lobby. You were
so
cool.
he did a lot of magic that way too. He was disappearing and coming back in.
Oh my God. Well, thank you. You've lifted my mood the whole rest of the day. I'm being on this high vibration. I think what I'm going to do is, after I sign off here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into and edit this to put some fun things on it, because we like to put like the Kapow logo on and make it look like you're on TV. Yeah. So I'm going to do some editing. I'm going to get that up onto YouTube, and and I'll let you know when it's up, so you can pass it around to people.
Awesome.
Yay!
Awesome. And do we go back into the lobby just to mingle? And
you go back in the lobby, mingle. Sure, yeah.
Okay.
People are always popping in and out, and I'll be in there later on too. And
cool.
Hang out, check it out, see what it's like in there. Float on the starship, for a little bit more.
That's awesome. We were at the top of the starship.
That's right. We're on the top of it, man.
We wanted to stay there.
All right, everybody, take care.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you again.
Wow.